You're listening to This Week in the World of Football, which is coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The purpose of this podcast is to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. The intent is to educate, inform, and entertain you, the listener, with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, while also keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. You can find this show on a multitude of podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Timestamps are provided in the show description, so you can jump to the topics you really want to listen to. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's show.
Thank you, announcer lady. This is episode 385 for March 18th, 2025. I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, if you plan to watch the Indoor Football League this season, you better grab your wallet. The AF1 made its Vice TV debut, and we get ready for the new CFL Stampede Bowl. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yep, I'm here. How's everything going? I don't know. I got nothing else. I had nothing funny for the intro.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, we can get right into it then.
Okay, do it. Coward.
Not only do we have this weekly podcast, but we also make YouTube videos, and we currently have over 500 videos on our YouTube channel. Some of the recent videos that we've put up, just yesterday we posted an AF1 Week 1 recap.
Yeah, and that was it for the week since the last podcast. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's been kind of nice. I mean, we came off of, 3 or 4 weeks off hiatus, and then we came back last week with an episode, and then we did this AF1 recap. Well, before that, we did the Week 0 recap.
Yeah.
So, it's been kind of slow there, but that's fine.
But, I mean, seems to be something people are enjoying. We've gotten quite a few comments, and people are checking out the AF1 stuff. So that's kind of our bread and butter right now. Yep.
As far as some upcoming YouTube videos that we've got, we're planning on doing an IFL preview with Trey from Off the Wall.
Yeah,
later this week.
Very excited about that collaboration. Trey, I know, is excited. I even texted him today about something funny he could do with his name Off the Wall, but I'm going to save that for him. I told him, take this and run with it, and he just might.
You two aren't coming up with certain bits, are you, to make me look bad?
I don't know if it'll be a bit. I mean, if he wants to turn it into one, good for him. I mean, I've been an idea machine all day. I was sending you T-shirt ideas.
Yes, you have been.
And you rejected like 50 of them.
Well, yeah, some of them I didn't like, and then all of a sudden you started hitting gold, and I'm like, hey, that's good. That's a good idea. We can do that.
I make good ideas. We just got to execute them.
And another video we'll have next week is our AF1 Week 2 recap.
Yeah, we'll probably get that up Sunday because it's a Friday-Saturday game this week.
Oh, yeah, we can do that on Sunday.
So we could probably do it on Sunday, depending on stats also again. We'll see. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week with scores from the AF1 and the National Arena League, kind of like we did last week.
Well, I mean, okay, hold on. You totally botched this. It's
what?
Just AF1 we start with, and then we'll jump into the other league.
Well, those are the two leagues that are playing right now.
Okay, well, I already time-stamped it. You're ruining this.
All right. AF1 scores, Week 1 scores. On Saturday night, it was the Billings Outlaws over the Oregon Lightning, 78-36. The Outlaws took a quick 11-0 lead early in the game. They scored a touchdown and then scored a deuce on the ensuing kickoff. And on the first play from scrimmage by the Lightning, we sacked him in the end zone and got a safety. So well,
what's we?
Billings sacked him.
Is that your team?
Well, it is that night.
Oh.
So yeah, a quick 11-point lead. The Lightning did kind of make a game of it after that, but yeah, they were outscored by 41 points. I mean, Billings scored 41 points in the third quarter, and it just the game was never in doubt. But the Lightning did play a little bit better as the game went along. Billings was up 44-24 at halftime. You could see their old logo, the old AFL logo on the field, which was a little disappointing. A few more coats of paint on that, and I think they'll obliterate that because they had their nice Lightning logo in the middle of the field.
Yeah, we talked about, and you said they scored how many in the third quarter?
41 points.
They scored 21 points in the third quarter, 13 in the fourth, so it was pretty much 44 points in the second half.
Oh.
Yeah, they've got the stats updated on the website
do
finally,
they?
so we got a box score.
Oh, so I can't inflate things because now they've got the official stats.
Yes.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So yeah, I'm jumping over to the website right now in case we wanted to talk about, because on our show, if anybody listened to that, which I'm still debating on putting on the podcast feed or not, maybe we'll wait like a full 24 hours, then we'll put like the AF1 recaps on there on the podcast feed. But so the player that stood out to me yesterday was Sean McFarland, the fullback there for Billings. He had 13 rushing attempts for 67 yards. He had 3 touchdowns during the game. He had a touchdown that was 21 yards at one point, which was awesome. He also caught 2 passes for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he had 5 touchdowns during this game.
Wow.
The one thing I will say, I mean, while they've got some stats up, they're still lacking some defensive stats on the website. But yeah, baby steps. And trying to see if there's anybody for the Lightning that stood out. Chris Lewis, a wide receiver for the Lightning, had 2 touchdown catches. He looked pretty good. They also got a couple of other guys, like Marquise Sampson was another guy who stood out, wide receiver number 5 for them. He had like a 44-yard touchdown catch at one point. He's just a fast dude out there. So Oregon, don't sleep on them. Yeah, it was a rough start, and I think what we need to recognize is like the second half, and I believe it was Tim Capper pointed this out on the AF1 Fancast last night, which I guess they streamed that like at 8 o'clock every Monday night now, which is kind of cool because I was editing and I kind of watching them, but at the same time, like, I don't want to listen to you guys because I don't want it to influence like me editing this video.
Yeah.
But they had a great conversation with Gary Compton. But Tim pointed out, to get back to that, he pointed out that in the second half of all these games, it was much better play in every game. So I think once these teams finally got their footing, you know, it was a lot better product out there, even though they were already kind of down by quite a bit after the half. But we'll have to wait and see going forward. And I mean, we can expound more upon the rough field, some of the other conditions if we want. I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse. We've already kind of spoken ad nauseum about that.
Yeah, no, we don't have to go into more detail here. We said all this in our other podcast. All right, do you want to go on to the next game?
Yes, let's talk about this next one.
All right. On Sunday, it was the Corpus Christi Tritons over the Salina Liberty 40-12, and this shocked me. I just assumed that Salina was going to beat this brand new team, Corpus Christi, coming into the league this year, but boy, that was not the case. Corpus Christi was up 27-0 at halftime, and again, another game that the final score was never you know, the outcome was never in jeopardy. But the one thing about this game was they only had nets at one end of the field, and we've kind of heard why since then. But as I was watching the game, I didn't know why. Right.
I even went back and was able to rewatch the broadcast. They didn't really mention anything.
Right.
And I think also on the AF1 Fancast, they also talked about how there were not any sponsor ads along the dasher boards if you were looking, which I was like, yeah, they're not there. But another fact that kind of came out, I was listening on the drive over here, actually. I found that the Salina Liberty have a podcast, so they got 2 episodes up. It's called Liberty Nation. So I was starting to listen to episode 2, and I'm only about 10, 15 minutes in because that's how long it took to drive over here. But the head coach was saying that essentially, you know, he was like, I'm not trying to make excuses for why we lost this game. I mean, it sounds like they had to take a 13-hour bus to get down there. And the fact that Corpus Christi was supposed to play in week 0. So they had an extra week of training camp. So that could also be something there. And I don't want to make excuses for them either.
Right.
But that is a terrible disadvantage if you're Salina, that your opponents had an extra week of prep to get ready for this game. Yeah. And then they have a week off now, and they'll play each other again in Corpus Christi in a couple weeks. So we'll see if the Liberty can get their stuff together and make it more of an interesting game.
Yeah, the 3 games this week were somewhat lopsided scores, and I think you're going to see that early in the season when teams are at different levels of preparedness, you know. So hopefully in a few weeks these scores will be pretty close to one another.
I anticipate Corpus Christi to improve, but I also expect Salina to improve. I think they said their quarterback was from the IFL, or he's played indoor football, but he's never played arena football. So we'll see if they can make that adjustment going forward, or what other things they can do to get ready for, because they're going to play the same team again, and I think that'll be an interesting measuring stick to see how these 2 teams prepare in the coming weeks playing each other. That's the only weird benefit to this league with only having 8 teams, is in this weird schedule where they're going to play each other multiple times, but it just so happens 4 weeks into the season the Liberty and Tritons are going to play each other twice.
Oh.
So it'll be interesting to see how that improves going forward for both teams.
Okay. And the Sunday night game featured the Southwest Kansas Storm defeating the Washington Wolfpack by the score of 63-33. And this was the first ever game on Vice TV. And you had Ari Wolf and Cedric Bonner in the booth. And the broadcast, you couldn't get it, but I get Vice on my satellite dish, and I actually recorded it on my DVR. And it was great. It was a great broadcast. They had all the replays ready to go at a second's notice. Ari Wolf and Cedric Bonner, they're the gold standard for arena football announcing. And it was just a really fun broadcast to watch. I was impressed.
That's what I've heard. I think a lot of the feedback has been that. I mean, despite some of the negatives, which were the uniform thing, which we, like I said, on the show, we talked about the uniform provider issue a little more in depth. We don't have to go into it here on the podcast. Right. Go watch that podcast episode or listen to it if it's on the feed. But I think everything I've heard was that the product on Vice was awesome. Even they had a countdown clock. Apparently, during the broadcast, whatever they were airing before it, people were saying that when you tune into that channel, it was like 5 hours till AF1 kickoff or something.
I did not know that.
It sounds like Vice is very invested in. I mean, they want to get into the live sports game, which makes sense. If you're a streamer or any sort of thing nowadays, I think the live sports game is where it's going to be at. Mm-hmm. And I think getting your foot in the door with an arena football league makes a little bit of sense. It's a more niche sport, but it's something you can experiment with. And from the sounds of it, they brought a lot of cameras. They had a bunch of great angles during the game.
Yep.
So I wasn't able to experience it live. I had issues trying to even get it. But I'm hoping that they can post a replay so I can at least check out last week's game. Or I'll have to figure out a way to get it by Friday night to watch the upcoming game.
Or I could just invite you over to watch it.
I can't. We're busy. It's birthday weekend, so I'll be very busy.
Oh, darn. That way I can't ask you to bring a six-pack of Mountain Dew with you when you come.
We're already going to have dinner that night, that Friday, so don't press your luck.
All right, just think it out loud. Let's see. So Southwest Kansas now is the only 2-0 team in the league. They played 2 games. They're the only ones that played 2 games. 2-0. So we'll see if they can keep this up in the weeks to come.
Yeah, we'll see. And I've been seeing around the social medias, there's some of the guys who cover the indoor and arena scene have been putting together their power rankings amongst the 3 indoor leagues that are going to be playing, IFL, NAL, and arena. They've got the Firebirds pretty high up there at 0-0. And I like power rankings, but I still think it's too early. When a team hasn't even played yet, I don't think we should be doing power rankings. Exactly. Come on, guys. I know it's fun, but to tell me a 0-0 team is better than a team that's played, hold on now. But I will say Southwest Kansas at 2-0, Billings looked great. I would probably still put Billings over Southwest Kansas, but Southwest Kansas has been a very pleasant surprise so far.
Very consistent.
Very consistent. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can keep up this momentum. And they got that big game against Albany this week, so that'll be a big test.
Yeah, it sure will be. The last things I had on this game, Southwest Kansas was up 38-13 at halftime, and the Wolfpack committed 6 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, but like I said, you look at that, the second half was a little more competitive. I mean, Washington scored 20 points in the second half, and I'm trying to do quick math in my head. That's 25 points for the Storm. So it was a closer game in the second half.
Yeah.
So like Tim was pointing out on AF1 Fancast, like the second half, teams are figuring it out.
Right.
So I think hopefully next week and week 2, 3, and 4 should be interesting weeks to see where these teams are at.
Yep. So all right. Coming up this week. There's 2 games this weekend. On Friday night, on Vice, again, is going to be the Southwest Kansas Storm at the Albany Firebirds.
And that should be a great broadcast. That's already a great arena. That whole thing should look great, hopefully, and I hope the Firebirds fans all show up for that one and make it look like a great, packed house on TV.
Yeah. And then on Saturday, it's going to be the Oregon Lightning at the Washington Wolfpack.
AKA the worst birthday present I could have gotten. 2 0-1 teams. But no, I think these are 2 teams that, like we were saying, figured stuff out in the second half. Now I'm curious to see how they apply that in their second game. So somebody's going to get their first W of the season.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not going to make any predictions, but I mean, I liked what I saw out of the Lightning at a point. I don't know if Washington gave that same confidence, but we'll see if the Lightning can turn it around.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of uniforms Washington has this week.
Yeah, they should hopefully have their new uniforms in. I'm very excited about that.
Yep.
And Oregon should also. These are the two teams that were missing their new uniforms, so hopefully it'll be a nice display for them.
Yep. All right, so moving on to the National Arena League. This was week 2 for them also. On Friday night, it was the Sioux City Bandits over the Idaho Horsemen, 46-14. And 2 games on Saturday, it was the Carolina Cobras over the Wheeling Miners, 41-26, and the Omaha Beef over the Colorado Spartans, 33-12.
How great does that beef field look?
They've
got it down. It looks so great.
Yeah, they've been a good team for a long time.
And I also want to let's throw a shout out to Royce over at Viking Wax Press, who put out his helmet rankings for the
NAL.
The NAL, like they're kind of throughout their whole history. Because at first I was like, these aren't teams that are playing right now. I missed the part where he said it was across the whole history of the NAL.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great video. I had a lot of fun watching it, and he even pulled out the thing that bugs me, which is all these indoor teams that have cowboy hats.
Oh yeah.
He did a whole. It was like he just
one whole graphic.
Man, it's like he was in my brain. Just it was one logo after the next. I'm like, yep. There's that one. Yep, there they all are. All these cowboy hats.
Yeah, and it's still going on today.
Yeah, that video's still going.
Well, the fact that the teams are still having a cowboy with a bandana or a hat and whatever as their logo is still pretty prevalent. All right, so next week in the National Arena League, they're week 3. This coming weekend on Friday, it's going to be the Carolina Cobras at the Columbus Lions.
Ooh, that should be a good one.
Yes, it will be. And on Saturday, it's going to be the Wheeling Miners at the Shreveport Rougarou.
Ooh, that should also be interesting. I think Wheeling jumped over from that American Arena League 2 or whatever it's called.
And Shreveport's a new team this year.
Yeah, so this should be interesting. I'm not going to make a prediction, but I think this is the Miners' opportunity to make a statement. Yeah, it's against a new franchise, but I mean the Rougarou could also make a statement, so that should be an interesting one to keep an eye out for.
Okay. Now, staying in the NAL for a minute, last week we were talking about the Peach State Cats, and I was under the assumption that they were a member of the NAL this year.
And I was under the assumption that you knew that they weren't in the NAL.
No, I didn't. But they are actually a member this year of the Professional Arena Independent Association, the PAIA. And
PAIA.
Yeah. Last year, they were members of the American Arena League 2. And the game that they were playing this week was to fill in for the Amarillo Dusters, who never made it to the start of the season. They were not listed as a non-league opponent on the schedule, but there's a team called the Louisville Savage that in Week 6 are going to be playing the Shreveport Rougarou. They're a semi-pro team that played in the 8-man IFL league last year. That's about as minor as you can get, I think. Yeah. But they are listed, the Savage are listed as a non-league opponent on the schedule, whereas Peach State Cats were not.
Right.
So I don't know.
And that explains, because remember last week when we talked about the Columbus Lions going 1-0, even though they played like an exhibition game pretty much. It was kind of, from what I understand, the 1-0 comes from that should have been the Amarillo game.
Right.
And they were awarded that as a forfeit win. So technically they got a win, but they got an exhibition. That's how I understood it. Why the 1-0 still stands. I don't know if that's right or not. Somebody correct me. I'm sure there'll be somebody who's a little more in the know. But that's when I was reading through all that stuff, I was like, it still doesn't make sense. But then somebody pointed out that supposedly they're getting that 1-0 from the Dusters, quote unquote, forfeit. So I don't know.
Well, that is the only game that the Peach State Cats show up on the NAL schedule all season long.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're filling in for every one of the games that.
Hey, whatever you got to do to make the
Dusters
Columbus
played.
Lions look better, I guess.
I don't know. All right, let's move on to some more happenings in the world of football. Starting in the NFL, former Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp signed with the Seattle Seahawks. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping he'd come to Detroit.
Well,
but,
I don't know. Look, don't get me wrong. I think Cooper Kupp is pretty good, but once somebody pointed out some of the stats he's had, like he had that big MVP season, and that was kind of the outlier. I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. I think he'd be a great complementary receiver to some situations. I think now what he's got going in Seattle, that's an interesting fit. Him, Smith and Jigba, and now you got they just brought in the quarterback Sam Darnold. That actually could be a very interesting tandem there. But I don't know. In Detroit, I don't know. They got decent receivers. I think you don't want to overpay for a Cooper Kupp, who's on the back end of his career. So I mean, it would have been cool maybe for like a 1-year deal if it was like a team friendly type deal. But he's still got a nice little purse for just going up the coast to Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe he just wanted to stay on the West Coast
Maybe.
or whatever.
I really don't know, but I mean, I'm just glad he's still playing. He's still a fun player to watch. He's just got to stay healthy.
At least he didn't go to a team in our division where we'd have to play him twice a year.
Right.
Let's see. Another thing you've got here, Brandon Graham, who played 15 seasons in Philadelphia with the Eagles, announced his retirement today. He was the longest tenured Eagle in franchise history.
Man, you don't see that a lot anymore. Guys who's 15-plus years with
what
one
position
team.
did he play? I don't know.
I thought he was like a linebacker. I could be wrong. Let me quickly just throw in a Google. Brandon Graham. Let's see. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, by the way. Let's see. Position. Man, they really don't tell you the position when you look up the.
Well, I can go on to the next guy if you want to keep looking for that.
Oh, he was drafted out of Michigan. I guess I didn't realize that. Man, yeah, they're not telling me his position. He looks like a linebacker. I'm gonna call him a linebacker. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But good for him. But still, 15 seasons with one team.
Yeah. You don't see that much anymore.
Right.
You know, maybe 4 or 5 years, then they'll go someplace else for get a bigger paycheck and whatnot.
Okay, he's a defensive end. I just had to scroll down a little further.
Okay.
Thanks, ESPN.
Okay, well, congratulations to him on his retirement.
Also, congratulations to these guys.
Oh, the Cincinnati Bengals? They agreed to a couple of record deals, making Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback, and T. Higgins the highest paid wide receiver 2 in the league. Chase's deal is 4 years, $161 million. Higgins' deal is 4 years, $115 million. They are the highest paid wide receiver duo now.
Man, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, glad they got their money. Good for Joe Burrow on keeping his 2 favorite weapons, but doesn't amount to much when your team goes 9-8 and can't get in the playoffs.
Yeah, what positions are going to suffer because they can't afford other players now?
I mean, we always say that, but teams always find ways to
some do
move money
some do
around.
and some don't.
Some do, some don't. The Bengals, I mean, I won't say they're a cheap franchise, but it always feels like they're not willing to throw the bag. And here they are. They've thrown their money at Burrow, now Chase, and now Higgins.
Right.
So we'll see what that means for that team going forward. Yes, you want to keep those offensive weapons intact, but we always kind of use the example as Lions fans of when they paid Stafford and Ndamukong Suh and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, we were still able to put kind of a decent team, but they never won anything at the end of the day. So we'll see. I'm curious to see how the Bengals will play next year because they got pretty hot at the end of last year, and they were just always like it's in such games where they were like, wow, if it weren't for the fact that they put up 50 points, but the other team put up 51 points, they'd be a pretty good team this year. It just seemed like they just found ways to just lose in weird fashion last season.
Yeah.
Because, what was it? All their high-scoring games were losses. I forget what that streak was, but it seemed like they were, almost led the league in average points, but then they lost those games. They scored over 30 points or something.
Were most of their losses by, 2 or 3 points?
Yeah.
They really close games.
Most losses by scoring over 30 points or something crazy like that. So their defense was trash, and you'd think they'd be signing some defensive guys after last season.
Let's see, another NFL story. The owners of the Cleveland Browns have committed to privately investing $2 billion plus for a dome stadium and a mixed-use development project.
Yeah, I've seen the video for their stadium before. I guess you've never seen that.
No,
before.
I hadn't seen that. You were showing that to
Yeah,
me.
but they've been talking about this for a while, and it sounds like they're willing to put their money where their mouth is and keep the Browns in Northeast Ohio for generations. So this is an interesting move, and I mean, shoot, a dome stadium in Cleveland, that's going to change it.
They've needed a dome stadium there. I mean, I say what you want about the home field advantage and all that, but they had games canceled because of the weather out there. Same as Buffalo, and a dome stadium when you're on the shores of Lake Michigan, or not Lake, what is it, Lake Erie over there? Yeah. You need a dome stadium, and the fans will be much happier with that. Now it says that they're investing $2 billion
Plus.
of their own money, I'm sure, but that's not, the stadium's probably going to cost more, so they'll probably bring some other people in to offset the third
Maybe, but
the
I
third
think
billion.
Nothing's
whatever.
official. They're committed to doing
Right,
it.
right.
So we'll see if and when this actually happens. I think it's a pretty exciting thing. And you always like to hear that your owners that committed to like putting in their own money and not making the taxpayers pay for all of it, which would be nice.
Sure.
Even though it sounds like they'll get a lot of different use out of it, like other stuff, like probably stadiums. And if it's how they phrase it, it's a mixed use, so they could do a lot of different stuff in that area. It looks, man, it just looks like a little festival plaza almost.
But you were also reading that it's going to be just outside the city limits.
Yeah, they said about just outside the city limits,
some suburb or whatever. So yeah, it's not going to be replacing the one that's there now. So it'll be a few miles away.
Yeah.
Okay. There's been so much talk this week about Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God, do we still have to talk about this dude
going to either the Steelers or
the Vikings have popped up now?
Yeah, and
or the Giants.
Yeah, I'm so sick of hearing about it, but I'm willing to make a prediction right now. You know, if they sign him, I predict that the Steelers, this is who I'm talking about. If the Steelers do sign him, I predict that the team will have their first losing season ever under head coach Mike Tomlin. That's my prediction.
My prediction would be if he goes to the Steelers, he's going to get cut after 4 weeks.
You know, Tomlin's been there since 2007. He had 2 8-8 seasons, but he's never had a losing season, and which I think is an incredible statistic.
Heck yeah.
But I think to bring Rodgers into that team, you're not going to get 8 wins. That's just my opinion.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, he had flashes at the end of the year that made him look like old Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
He's a year older now.
But I think a lot of players, like even Cam Hayward of the Steelers, came out and said, if you're coming to Pittsburgh, just do it already. We're tired of this game.
Yeah.
So I think perspective or what's not perspective? What's the word?
Perception?
No, like future teammates or potential teammates are already like, no, we don't want to put up with that. We've seen what you've done. We don't want to put up with it. So
yeah, whatever. All right, let's move on to some happier news. We're going to move to the CFL right now. The salary cap for the 9 CFL teams is going to increase by $400,000 in 2025.
Oh, didn't we just talk about how the NFL increased by like 20 or 30 million?
Yeah, I got that coming up here in a minute.
Oh, boy.
The cap for the CFL will be set this year at $6,062,365 million, a 7.3% increase, compared to the 2024 CFL salary cap of $5,525,000, or $5.525.
Math is hard.
I know it. The increase is due to increased league revenues and an updated revenue growth sharing model by the collective bargaining agreement. It's the second largest salary cap increase in modern CFL history. The largest came after a landmark deal with television station TSN up there, which infused $600,000 into the league in 2014 and took the salary cap limit to $5 million. Compare that to the 2025 NFL salary cap of $2.79.2 million, an increase of $23.8 million from 2024.
Jeez, that's a lot of moolah.
Yeah, it is. But good for the CFL. They had a great season last year.
Did.
I think they got a lot of people watching the game, and the Grey Cup was pretty exciting. Not just because we were there, but it was a good game.
It was a good game. I also think that the addition of CFL Plus has really probably helped. I don't know how much it does for revenue because it's all CFL ads. It's not ads for like Tom's Bacon Company up in Canada or anything. I'm just making stuff up. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really like they're bombarding you with advertisements that aren't their own league product.
Right.
So I'm wondering, what other ways, unless this CFL Plus is just, hey, it's free. I can watch the game and I'm buying merch. I'm investing in this league in different ways, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of buying merch, I bought a lot of their merch last year because we did a podcast, a weekly CFL podcast.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have T-shirts and other shirts from the whole league. So yeah, I've got a whole closet full of T-shirts and Hawaiian shirts for every team up there.
You're gonna do it again this year?
We'll see.
Yeah, the wearing, maybe not the buying.
Oh yeah,
you got plenty for the year.
yeah. I got some CFL shirts. I want to go to another Toronto game this year, so
that'd be fun.
I got plenty of shirts to wear. All right, let's see. Staying with the CFL, the Calgary Stampeders will host the inaugural Stampede Bowl in Week 5 this season when they host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Thursday night, July 3rd. The game will also kick off the annual Calgary Stampede Rodeo, which has been held for over 100 years. I mean, when you say the Calgary Stampede, everybody knows what you're talking about. It's a huge rodeo up there. That's where they got the team name from. Like I just said, they got their name from the event. But the Stampeders have usually played on the road during Stampede Week to avoid a conflict. Well, now they're finally embracing a partnership with the Calgary Stampede.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of like, how Toronto have games during that National Exhibition Cultural Festival there.
Yeah, the one that screwed us over.
The one that screwed us over 2 years ago when we couldn't get there, and then we finally figured out, you take the GO train and you can bypass all that.
Now that we know that.
Yeah.
So the world is our oyster.
Yes, absolutely. But, I think that's cool that they're finally putting the two together, whereas in the past they tried to avoid conflict. So
yeah, I think that's awesome. I hope they have a cool trophy or something. Maybe it doesn't have to be a trophy, but I hope they do something, like they got the Banjo Bowl trophy.
Right.
Now you could have the Stampede Bowl trophy, and every year you could have a different team playing, the Stampeders.
And I'm sure over the years, they'll say, those Stampeders are, 5-0 in Stampede Bowl games or
0-5.
Yeah, whatever. But I think that is cool. That was pretty cool. I just read that yesterday.
Now, what would be great is if it was a year where maybe they gave the Stampeders a bye week, but they brought two other teams to play the Stampede Bowl. Could you see that? Come on, like a Toronto.
That's their game.
I know it's their game. I'm just saying, maybe one year it's like, they got a bye this week, but we're still going to play CFL football here.
You bring in two other teams in Calgary, and all the Calgary fans are going to go there and boo both teams.
Hold on, these are Canadians. We know they don't boo.
I hope you lose.
We know they do not boo because they're too nice.
Well, whatever. They'll make it known that we don't like you. Go home.
Thanks for showing up, but we don't like that you're here. Drive home safe.
And let's see, the big news out of the Indoor Football League this week.
We're just transitioning over.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay.
Moving on to the IFL.
Thank you.
The Indoor Football League announced a streaming partner in, how do you pronounce this?
Viziac?
Vizaic?
Vizaic? Yeah, I don't know.
Weird name. But it's an AI-powered fan engagement platform and the formation of the IFL network. That's what's going to power the IFL network.
All right, before you go any further, when I heard this or I saw the article title, I was like, this sounds like a good idea. Mm-hmm. Now proceed.
This is a pay site.
Then I immediately said, what the hell is this?
If you want to watch IFL games this year, you're going to have to shell out $29.99 for a season pass, or you can get a monthly pass for only $9.99. They used to have all their games on YouTube. We've watched some games or parts of games on YouTube before. Just go right to their site.
Some streams are good. Some streams are not so good.
But they have since taken off all of their old IFL games off of YouTube, so you can't even find those anymore. My question is this a good or a bad thing for the IFL? I can see both arguments, but to me, this is a bad thing.
Okay. Short term, probably not a great thing. Mm-hmm. Long term, it's probably a great thing. Look, so I feel like you've got this product, right, that you've been putting out there for free.
Right.
A
lot of people love the IFL.
And a lot of people do.
Good
it's
fans.
how you kind of built your fan base. They were able to find you. But the question will be, how many people are actually going to pay this $30 a month? I don't think they're going to get huge numbers at first.
Right.
I think it'll be something that could catch on. Because ideally, when you have a product like this is where we're thinking all these leagues are going to get to, right? Like at some point, the AF1's going to probably want to be, you pay $30 for watching our game exclusively. It's like any of these streaming services. Like you get that free trial, and it's like, hey, don't you want to keep Netflix? Like, yeah, I kind of do. I mean, it's not like it's a terrible price. I think it's more of the shock value of, it was free. I could find it on YouTube. Like I had no problem checking it out. Yep. And maybe their YouTube ad revenue wasn't great for them, but this is a way to keep more of that in your pocket. So business wise, I guess it makes a little bit of sense. But you also, I think what they need to do, there should be some tiers, Because if you're gonna put it behind a paywall like that, like I think there is. I haven't signed up for it yet because I might still just to see what experience it so we can have a better understanding and opinion of it instead of just outside looking in. But maybe some tiers, like how Netflix has like these ad-free versions, or they have the ad versions.
Right.
I think they need to do some tiers because you can't just throw a flat like pay us $30 to watch our games. Oh, and then by the way, when the playoffs roll around, that's an
another
additional
thing.
charge.
Yep.
So that's where it's not a great look.
Yeah.
And I think the owner of the Green Bay Blizzard coming out and pretty much dogging other leagues for being free or whatever. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, this is a terrible look.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, this is a good thing. If you're a big IFL fan, this is the way to do it. But how are you going to get new people to watch your game?
Right.
That's why I'm like, are there not tiers? Is there not going to be a free option? Like, well, we got them a free trial. Great, but I think there should be a free option to watch some of these games. It's even through your network. Like, if you're going to pay for something, what extra are you really getting? Mm-hmm. You're still getting the same game. You're still getting a stream, and we don't even know the stream quality. I know Trey from Off the Wall has been talking about what's the stream quality going to be like. Is it all going to be equal? Like, are we still going to be dealing with, hey, if we go to this team, it's a great stream, but when you're watching this team's home games, it's a crappy stream. Like, so we'll have to wait and see how that all shakes out. But I do think that this will isolate new fans from wanting to check it out. I've already seen some in our comment section saying that, well, guess I'm sticking with the AF1 and National Arena League because they put that other league up. I ain't paying $30. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting experiment. It's one that they're not getting good press for right now.
Right.
But if you think about it, I think in the long term, it's not a bad idea. And also, is it really that bad of a deal? Randy, you spend $30 on dumb crap all the time, and so do I. So, what's $30 for a season pass?
Yeah,
I just
that's
hate
the price
the fact,
of a mini helmet.
There you go. That Fisher's Freight mini helmet you just bought. It's like half of that. You pretty much paid for two. Actually, you paid for half of a mini helmet by paying for this IFL subscription. But no, I just think that I don't know. Charging me also extra for playoffs for your postseason also seems a bit much.
Yeah.
If it was $30 for the entire, like, you get everything from opening kickoff to the ending ceremony of the IFL National Championship game, I'd say that is a fantastic deal. But the fact that you're saying it's $30 for the season, and then we'll charge you an extra $10, $20 for the playoffs, maybe an extra $10 for the championship. I don't know what their actual price model is going to be, but
it might be nice if they included like maybe a weekly, this week in the IFL show that you can only get on that station.
I can't remember from the statement if they said they were going to have exclusive content like that. You would imagine they would. Yeah. You're going to go through all this trouble to put out your own network, and you're not going to have stuff like that for your IFL, like your hardcore IFL fans. So we'll see. That's why I'm curious to even try the free trial and see how this goes this weekend.
Here's my take on this.
Oh, here we go. He was setting me up so he could do this.
$29.99 isn't that bad of a price for a whole season. $9 a month is not bad, just for a month at a time. But at the same time, I am not paying to watch the IFL. I'm sorry. I am not going to get a subscription. I'm not going to give them any of my money. If they want to put it out there for free somewhere, whether it's YouTube or someplace else, great. I'll check it out now and then. But now that they've put it behind a paywall, they've lost me as a viewer.
Well,
I'll tell their scores, but I won't be able to tell you anything else because I have not seen any of these games.
We'll see if they put up highlight packages on their YouTube to help us out. Maybe that'll be something to be like, these highlights were great. I do kind of want to watch a game. Maybe that's how you do it. But you're also giving them money, Randy. We're going to a Fisher's Freight game in a couple weeks, so.
Well, that's different to go there and sit in the stands and watch a game.
So hold on. So how much? If you don't mind me asking, how much was our ticket, like per ticket? Do you remember at the top of your head?
Yeah, they started at 24, but I got us seats for 38.
Okay, so essentially, for a little less than one seat, you can get a whole season's worth of games on this IFL network. So, I mean, like I said, it's not a bad deal. And you got hose. I'm sure we could have got a guy get us cheaper seats than that at the IFL game.
But it's only like a 3-hour drive from here, and
Aaron's halfway.
Then we're gonna we'll pick up Aaron on the way there, and we're gonna have to get some hot dogs and soda pops while we're there, and check all that out.
Well, we'll see. We'll have our vlog, our travel log, as we call it.
Yeah, travel log. Yep.
So
we're going to be there in a couple of weeks. Friday, April 4th, we're going to be there seeing the Tulsa Oilers.
Do we have press passes?
Yes, we do.
Gas.
have
You didn't tell me
passes.
this. Do I get a cool
It
lanyard?
just happened.
Do I have to buy a polo shirt now?
I don't know if we get lanyards with those or not, but maybe they'll have a little clip that you can
You
put
still
on
didn't answer. Do I have to wear a polo shirt now? Do I have to look professional? Oh my God. Do I have to put on pants? You know, I'm a cargo short man. I don't know if I could do pants.
Well, this game's at night, so it may be a little cold. So I don't know if you want to wear shorts or not, but hopefully it's
shoes or sandals. What do I have to do?
wear whatever you want.
Yes. Okay. Sandals it is.
Wear your best World of Football sweatshirt or T-shirt or hat or whatever you've got.
There we go. Yep.
Go representing the world of football.
Oh, the one with the mustard stain on the front, chef's kiss. All right, let's do this.
And that's mine. Okay, today's birthdays and anniversaries for March 18th. Author George Plimpton, born on this date in 1927. He passed away in 2003 at the age of 76. He wrote many sports books, including one of my favorites, Paper Lion, which is where he went through training camp with the Detroit Lions one year, and another book called Mad Ducks and Bears about Lions defensive linemen Alex Karras and John Gordy, who were teammates for 9 seasons between 1959 and 1967. Yeah, 59 to 67. Now, I've read Paper Lion as a Lions fan. It's like required reading.
I've never read it, but I've watched the movie.
Right. And I own the book Mad Ducks and Bears, but I must admit I have not got around to reading that one yet. But yeah, he's got a big history with the Detroit Lions, and so yeah, he's very much revered in Lions history. Let's see, quarterback Benny Friedman was born on this date in 1905, and he passed away in 1982 at the age of 77. He played his college football at the University of Michigan. He played 8 NFL seasons. He started out with the NFL's Cleveland Bulldogs in 1927. He was with the Detroit Wolverines in 1928, the New York Giants from 1929 to 1931, and the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1932 to 1934. He was the head coach of the New York Giants for 2 games in 1930, and he was also the head coach of the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1932. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2005. I read a great book on Benny Friedman. First, really big Jewish quarterback in the NFL, and fascinating story. Can't recommend it enough. I don't have the name of the book right in front of me, but just look up books on Benny Friedman, and you should be able to find it. Okay, obituaries. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first obituary is that of Norris Thomas, a defensive back in the NFL and the Canadian Football League. He's passed away at the age of 70. Thomas played college football at Southern Mississippi and was selected in the 9th round of the 1976 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins. He played for the Dolphins from 77 to 79 and was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 1980 to 1984. He also played in the CFL for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 1994, and he was with the Baltimore Stallions in 1995, winning a Grey Cup title with the Stallions in 1995.
Our next obituary is that of Al Matthews, a defensive back in the NFL for 8 seasons, has passed away at the age of 77. Matthews played college football at Texas A&M Kingsville and was selected in the 2nd round of the 1970 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. He played for the Packers from 1970 to 1975. He also played for the Seattle Seahawks in 1976 and the San Francisco 49ers in 1977.
And another obituary is that of Ken Hall, a halfback and a punter in the NFL, the American Football League, and the Canadian Football League, has passed away at the age of 89. Hall played college football at Texas A&M and played for the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos in 1957. He was then selected in the 14th round of the 1958 NFL Draft by the Baltimore Colts. However, he chose to sign with the Chicago Cardinals and played 1 season for the Cardinals in 1959. Hall then played for the AFL's Houston Oilers in 1960 and 1961, winning 2 AFL titles, even though he did finish the 1961 season playing for the St. Louis Cardinals.
All right, and our final obituary this week is that of Paul Flatley, a wide receiver in the NFL for 8 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Flatley played college football at Northwestern and was selected in the 4th round of the 1963 NFL Draft by the Minnesota Vikings. He was also selected in the 7th round of the 1963 American Football League Draft by the Denver Broncos. He signed with the Vikings, where he played from 1963 to 1967, and was named the 1963 NFL Rookie of the Year. He also played for the Atlanta Falcons from 1968 to 1970. After his playing career, he became a broadcaster and was a color commentator for the Vikings and the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers. Flatley was inducted into the Chicagoland Hall of Fame in 2011.
All right, finally today, our upcoming events calendar. This Friday, March 21st, the Indoor Football League season kicks off. And like I said, I won't be watching any games because I refuse to shell out any money for that. Friday, March 28th, the UFL season begins. That's kind of been lost here lately. The UFL is actually right around the corner also. So we got the IFL this week and the UFL the following week. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have 4 leagues playing that we're going to have to consolidate scores for. Let's see. Friday, April 4th, we're going to that IFL game down in Indianapolis. Tulsa Oilers at the Fishers Freight. On Thursday, April 24th through Saturday the 26th, it's the NFL Draft in Green Bay. Also on Saturday the 26th, the Women's Football Alliance season begins. And on Tuesday, April 29th, it's the CFL Draft and their global draft of players going on. And that is everything for this week. Anything that popped up on your phone while we've been talking that you want to bring up before?
Nope, there's no real breaking news. I just want to say we're going to be in Buffalo that weekend of the draft, which I didn't realize till recently. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
No, I think it's the weekend before.
That should be the 25th, right? Is when we're going to Buffalo? Because the draft is April 24th through the 26th. So I think we'll be in Buffalo that weekend.
I'm not sure.
Because that's when I took it off. So.
I'm thinking that might be the 17th is when we're going to be in Buffalo. Well, we'll have to double check.
We'll definitely have to double check. I guess we're going to have to get our calendar situated as soon as we hit stop recording.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But no other news.
All right. Well, then that's all the time we've got for this week. Join us again next Tuesday. Same gridiron time, same gridiron channel.
Oh, my God. You did not. Nope. We're not going to keep
this.
It's
still a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely a work in progress. That's not how the show is going to end.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this installment of This Week in the World of Football. New episodes of the podcast are posted every Tuesday and can be found wherever good podcasts are found. You can find the World of Football on Facebook, Instagram, and X by searching for TWOF Kalamazoo or using the links down in the episode description. Head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the World of Football for more fun football-related content. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @the World of Football. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again next time.